what good is an education if you don't have a moral compass? Normally, it is often said, kind of a common sense, that if everyone had access to good education, like the world would be like much better, right? In the way people treat each other. But I have been a good portion of my life. I've been a student and a student of higher education, and what I saw mainly last time I was a student of higher education was that the institutions that provide this education have been changing in the last decades, and they have been providing more and more job training and less education. Of course, you have different areas, and I'm not gonna like overgeneralize and say that before it was like this and now it's the opposite. It's not like that. But the neoliberal economy has been demanding from the schools that the education changes, and that these changes in education tend to be in the way that you have to think less and to only be a robot for certain knowledge. And I observed this because I had a recent experience, a relatively recent experience some years ago, of going back to it's not the universities, it's the equivalent, and I had the chance to get along with people like 20 years younger than me, right? And this was very interesting experience because many of these kids really had brain capacities. They were still fresh out of. They didn't have any work experience, of course, any knowledge of the world, but they have fresh minds. And to my disappointment, the inability that I observed to think out of these little games that you play there, and I call it little games because it's really how they teach these things, this mathematics, applied mathematics to engineering. You go through these subjects and you seldom learn anything, or you seldom understand them. They are not taught to be understood. They are taught the mechanics of each exercise that you have to make on paper, and then when you go to the next exercise, you learn new rules. Eventually, you memorize them and you go through. And this is how I had, coming from different area of knowledge, because I used to come from what is it that I don't know what's it called in English. In Portuguese is, can we translate to humanities? I don't know. It's like, well, I was more into like languages and history and geography and people related knowledges, social studies, but it was not social studies. Well, but social studies, it's also a good example. And so they even have this mindset that if I'm learning mathematics, I don't need to be good in my mother tongue, which is in this case Portuguese. I don't need to be good at languages, writing and literature, and and this is a big flaw, and they get good grades anyway. So the system works for them. They get this mindset, they apply it, and the system works. They get good grades, they get good jobs. Why would they think? Why would they bother to question the system if it's working for them? And we had hours of endless discussions. Well, me being a little bit more, 20 years more experienced, having done all sorts of jobs in this world, it was a hard struggle to explain them very basic concepts. And a lot of these concepts had to do with morality, because it's not taught. It's like, if the system works for me, screw you. If it doesn't work for you, not my problem. Then you say, yeah, then you despise these other knowledges, social studies or languages, and general knowledge of a little bit of everything, tools to think. They give you the tools to think, and knowing some authors and philosophy, so that's a good subject, yeah. And they grow up learning, this kind of kids, they grow up learning, thinking that this is useless. It's completely useless. It's not gonna get a job. And I can understand to a certain extent this way of thinking, because the system works like that. And your primary objective, you are young, you just turned 20 and you're studying, you're gonna finish soon, you need to think about work, and you want to enjoy life, so you want to have a good pay and you don't want to be struggling. So you go to these engineering courses, and it's where you can still find some decent pay, job opportunities. While the people that go and study philosophies and sociology and this kind of things, they do have a hard time in this world now. Many of them end up working in shitty jobs, and it's a permanent struggle. And it even adds up one more factor to the difficulty, which is many times they learn how to think, they understand the world around them, but they are unable to do anything about it. The system is against them. I also recognize some flaws in this kind of areas of studies, this philosophy, sociology, anthropology, psychology, human sciences it is. Correct me in the comments if you know. And yeah, so you got the education system divided in these two parts, right? Personally, I think to learn the mechanics of mathematical problems, to solve mathematical problems, can be very useful. But it's far from producing a thoughtful human being. Very far from that. It's more prone to produce a robot, a cog for the machine, a person that will not handle a social situation well. For example, in the case of a political crisis where the society has to respond, this person, it's very hard to move. It's very hard to adhere to any cause. He doesn't have the trend of thought. And if he has a job that pays decently, he couldn't care less about masses of people struggling with problems that derive from the government intervening. And this is a problem, of course. On the other hand, I think this other studies, this philosophy and psychology, they do lack. You have to do, I mean, what I really think it should be, let it put it more simply, what I really think it should be is that you should have a more universal education. You should never be allowed to be only, except of course when you have to specialize. Of course, I understand that we have to specialize, but not only till the very late stages would you drop many of these subjects to only focus on your specialization. Not until the very late stages. Most of your life, your education should be universal. I do remember, because I did have to confess this, at some point I did graduate to be a teacher, a primary school teacher. And when I finished that degree, I realized, I thought to myself, and I think, this should be a phase of school, a step that everyone should take in school. It shouldn't be just for primary school teachers. It should be for everyone. Because you learn a very broad spectrum of knowledges. You don't go too deep into them, but it gives you good tools to think and to do, because you go through all the areas, from mathematics to language to psychology to anthropology to sociology to handicrafts to arts. You go through all. I forgot arts, I'm sorry when I mentioned this subject. Through arts you go through everything, and you go through everything in practice and in theory. Yeah, of course, and then you need some, I think you should do gap years and, you know, have a little experience in the job market, so that you realize, you know, even unqualified experience in the job market, so you realize the level of exploitation that the huge majority is subjected to. This is also good to think. And once you do this, you can see clearly that this neoliberal theories and this Milton Friedman Bible, it's utter bullshit. I've been listening to Milton Friedman lectures. They're very interesting. They are, I mean, the man is a reference, right? So I'm not gonna like degrade him, but I mean, for sure his model doesn't suit me. The model of the state doesn't intervene, the model of no welfare, the model of the Rockefellers and what are the other guys, the bankers, not just the Rockefellers, it's and the guys from the Goldman Sachs of this world. They take it all. No unions, no public health, only charity. He advocates all these things, and he explains through his logic, A plus B, that this is better. But when reality kicks in, of course, people tend to uphold these values, these neoliberal values, always giving the examples of look at the Soviet Union and some other examples. Some of these examples are wrong, right? like for example Cuba and Venezuela, they're often badly analyzed or even not analyzed. The people just reproduce some key sentences of bullshit. They don't really understand what's going on in those countries. And so yeah, I think education is being ruled also by this system, and it's lacking morals. Because when I see people, these bright kids, swallowing without even blinking all this propaganda about Russia. Because when I was studying with them, I remember it was between 2015 and 2019, the process of demonizing Russia was in course, was underway, right? So, and it was unbelievable, the level of indoctrination they already had. And the indoctrination it revealed true their actions in the way they thought about the world, and in the way they thought about the next person too. The culture they had is the culture which is sold out through these artists, which is the culture of the ghetto. Which I'm not demonizing the ghetto. The ghetto is a whole different subject. Why ghettos exist, right? But you know, this rap songs and this kind of music that actually I think the origins are good, but it was they sold out long ago, and so they only uphold these images and these values of consumering and displaying of richness and only material bullshit. Yeah. Is it too much of a critic? Do you think I'm pessimistic? I'm really not. I think with this kind of system of indoctrination, what happens is that people tend maybe to learn later. I don't know. The problem is with this is that then catastrophes sorry, it's early in the morning, and only when really bad things happen, people wake up. Oh, so that was the problem. Yeah, I've been telling you all along. Okay guys, really hope I see you on the next one. One more thing, if you like this video, if you made it through the end, until the end, and if you think the channel, because I've been getting a lot of these comments that the channel should be bigger, and people understand, people think I'm cancelled, I'm shadow banned and things like this. I really don't know, but if you think it's worth it, please share it, mention it to your friends. I don't need any money. If you just share it, you'll be fine with me, and press the like button so kick this algorithm in the balls. I hope I see you on the next one.